and that will give me some more data to look at. We've got the TV over there. Nothing really crazy in the card world. I mean, so yeah, here we go. We're going to be talking when I have the headphones in there, when the live stream is, excuse me. Let's see. So let's just start. We'll start the podcast here. So, talking baseball cards. I think now is the time period. I think you have between now and when some of the spring training to pick up some cards if you're looking into buying any. Some of the rumors that are going around is that Mookie Betts is going to be traded to LA, and I feel like it's almost inevitable at this point that Mookie Betts is going to be traded to LA just because the Red Sox, I'm from Boston, so I'm a Red Sox fan, and in my opinion, I don't think that the Red Sox are going to sign him. Like, he is probably that next player that's going to get that $300 million contract, and I'm almost 100% positive that the Red Sox aren't going to give it to him, because if they did, they would have. They really, honestly, Mookie Betts deserves to go somewhere and have them pay him. He probably deserves to go somewhere just as a different organization because, like, people might not know this because they're not tuned in to every team's, because there's so many players in the MLB. It's kind of hard to keep track of every player. But, like, with Mookie Betts, like, he went to arbitration, like, every year that he could have gone to arbitration, which is, like, really kind of unfortunate because, like, he won MVP 2 years ago, and he's clearly been the best player on the team for the past, like, 3-4 years, and, like, he's got that weird rookie deal. And I think another thing that's interesting, I don't know if when the CBA for the MLB is going to wrap up, but, like, if the Players Association was smart, the one thing that they would take a stand on is how they do these stupid prospect contracts. Like, it's obviously team friendly, but, like, the thing that doesn't make sense, the thing that I don't really particularly like is that, like, the contracts themselves, they are team friendly, but then there's no salary cap. And, like, for these small market teams, like, the team friendly salaries are pretty important, but, like, for a team like the Red Sox, these team friendly salaries just lead to, now look at what's going, like, and then also it's weird. Okay, sorry, continue that point. You look at what's going on now with Mookie Betts, and you look at what's probably going to happen with Chris Bryant. Maybe you look at, like, I don't know if Acuna is signed, but that's probably going to happen with him. Like, you have these players on these contracts that are, like, they're in the prime of their career, and they're still getting these, like, team-friendly deals that are, like, less than $1 million. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't, for MLB especially, because there's no salary cap. And one report that I saw was talking about the MLB revenue has continued to go up, but somehow now, I don't know if it's attendance or if it was TV revenue or TV something has gone down. And I don't know. I think the MLB has really gotten themselves into kind of a pickle in terms of, like, when they signed the contract with the marketing/media company to basically copy strike all of the videos and all of the content that is MLB related, they really put themselves into a bind because, like, you look at the NBA, and the NBA is basically the most popular sport, and it's basically the most popular sport because they have allowed their content to be distributed in a way that isn't hard for people. Like, they're distributing the content, basically. They're not limiting the way that it can be distributed. And I'm trying to still figure out the camera here. They're not limiting the way that it can be distributed. Basically, they're allowing anybody to post any type of NBA content they want. There are people like House of Highlights and Overtime and like Hoops Nation and, like, all of these, like, meme accounts and, like, basketball related accounts are all helping and it's they're all helping the NBA grow. And I think maybe I think the MLB they've changed a few things. Like one thing that they did this year that I really liked in terms of media was, let's flip this and see. Nope, maybe the other way's better. Sorry. So one thing that they did do this year was they did broadcast on, I think it was on their Twitch channel, they did broadcast a certain player's at bats, which I think is really smart. I mean, they need to find a way to get the games into more people's hands, essentially. And what they did by signing the deal with the media company is they actually limited how many people can see the content, because they're saying that they don't want. It's sort of what happened. And if you listen to Gary Vee at all, he's talked about this. Like, he actually just came out with a video that was about why MLB is losing or something like that. I forget exactly the name of the video, or maybe it was on some other thing. But I know he has talked about this in the past, where he said that boxing and horse racing used to be the most popular sports in America, the same way that baseball used to be the most popular sport in America. But then boxing went to pay-per-view because they wanted to make more money off of their own content. So now less people are watching. Sure, you have the diehard fans who are paying, and you have like huge matches, like you have huge fights, matches, I don't know, whatever. Like, you have, like, the Mayweather-Pacquiao fights that sell millions and millions of pay-per-views, but, like, when you have Joe Schmo versus some other guy, like, no one's watching it. Like, if the MLB, I guess it's not apples to apples in that sense. Like, but in apples, it's the same that MLB is basically saying that we only want you to consume our content on our terms, which doesn't, in this day and age, that's not, making something harder for someone is just going to make less people interested in the actual content that's being produced, which means less people are going to see it. I also think the one thing that's hard for the MLB is the amount of players there are on each team. Like, you look at, there's 25 people on a roster, you got 10 pitchers, you got the however many fielders, hitters, and then you got, like, each team has, like, 10 different, or not 10, but they have, like, 4 to 5 different minor league teams, which is, you know, if a team is a good farm system, they should be, I think if the way that teams should promote their players is through these teams, through the minors. Like, I did, one of my projects that I did for my graduate class was about marketing a product in a different, marketing a different product in a different place. It was an international marketing class. So I took the product I chose was MLB.TV, and I chose to do it in Australia. And one of the pieces of the product that I wanted to promote was a new service that basically, it was in partnership with the MLB Pipeline, and they would basically be taking somehow it would be like a daily show. And in Australia, it was a little bit different, I think, because of the timing, it's like a 12-hour difference, so like the games would be on in the morning. But it would be similar to like what the Premier League did, where like on Saturday would be like the main show, essentially, and the main show. But for Australia, I forget exactly if it was an Australian show or if it was the MLB show, but I was just trying to promote. But basically, the concept of the show, and it doesn't matter in Australia and America. I mean, I think if it was in America, people would watch the show. It's basically an NFL red zone for minor league players. Like, yes, the top 10 minor league players, like your Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s, your Eloy Jimenez, your Fernando Tatis. I'm talking about last year. Everybody knows, or most people know about them. Most people know about them when they're coming up. They're following them, but they don't get to watch them because there's no way to watch them, really. Like, you can probably find some live streams of some games from some minor league teams, but like, I think MLB teams realistically need to figure out a way to work better with the minor league teams to promote these minor league players, so that way when they come up, people know who they are. Like, pitchers, it might be a little bit harder. Like, you might say, if in the show, hypothetically, you might say the show like would promote pitchers pitching in innings or something, or you show one inning of one pitcher, you show another inning of another pitcher. And with baseball, it might be a little bit tougher because, like, you know, someone could go 0 for 4 in their one showcase or whatever, and that's probably what it would be. It would be like a player showcase where you have, like, you show, and this would have been maybe last year, I think I was using this example, like you show all of Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s at-bats when he played for one of the minor league teams, or you show all of Fernando Tatis's at-bats throughout the game, or you say, here are the top 10, we're going to show you the top 10 when they are up, and it works the same way as Red Zone, except for the fact that it's a show where they talk about the prospects and they kind of break down some of the other stuff in it, but it's specifically minor leagues, because that way I think the players will get more publicity from being talked about more, and that way more people will know about them. But that's what you need. I think that's one thing that they need to do, is they need to figure out how to get people to know these. They need more people to get to know these minor league players coming up in the minors. And, you know, it could also be like each division has a show where you have like 6 different shows, so that way it's not only the top 100 prospects, you're talking about the top 10 prospects of each team, or the top 50 prospects of each team, or something like that, and just break it down more where it's like you have a top 100 prospects in each division, essentially. Just because, like, that's one thing that I think, like I've stated this, I think I've said this about 10 times already, I think these minor league players should get more publicity when they're coming up, so that way people know about them. Like Mike Trout, like the top players, you know who they are, and you know the young top players. Like I think MLB put out a tweet the other day that was like, who is one of the players that you think is going to take over under the age of 25, and they showed the roster of players under 25, and it's like the MLB needs everybody in the nation to know who these players are. Honestly, because they need to figure out a way to capitalize on what they have right now. Because honestly, I keep looking at all of these rosters and all these players and all the talent that is their young players. They need to figure out a way to promote the players better. And that could be with like a show, and I think they said, they have done a good job. They did do something where each day they were streaming. I think maybe it was on Twitter. I don't specifically remember where it was, but each day they were showing a new player's at bats, either on Twitter or Twitch or wherever it was. But I think they need to do that more. Like they need to focus on showcasing the players more. And I don't know. I'll look into the thing that I was talking about with the media team or whatever, just so that way the media team, I think it was called BAM or DACA or something. I forget exactly. I know Gary Vee has talked about it. I need to look into it more, but they need to just get rid of that. Oh, that was weird. They just need to get rid of that because, like, it's just not a good idea. Like, they're making it harder. Like, and that's basically what's the point that I'm trying to make? In this day of marketing and media, you need to make it just as easy. That's why I think you see one thing is like with Instagram, you see the teams that post more, maybe. Like, you want to post enough, and this is a theory of mine, and I don't know. I think it's true. You want to post enough so that way when someone opens up their feed, it'll be interesting. I keep saying it'll be interesting, too, on podcasts. I need to try to stop doing that. But I don't know what the total retention percentage of a user on Instagram is. Like, if you're going to Instagram, how long are you scrolling through your feed? You need to post enough so that way you're coming up in that first set of scrolling. Like, because it's not in chronological order, that's the algorithm or whatever. So, like, when someone refreshes, your post could come up and it could be 2 hours old, but someone's just seeing it for the first time because they refreshed. But, like, what was even the point of that? I don't even remember. But just basically that you want to show up in the feed, basically. And I think that seems obvious, but maybe it's not as obvious. But like, you want to show up and you want your post or your team's post to be in someone's feed when they're opening up the app. And let's see, and if someone's opening up their Instagram app and they're seeing 10 posts about basketball and they're seeing no posts about baseball, that's just because of the way that the league has basically set up the distribution method. No, basically that's just the way that MLB has set up how they want their media distributed. They want people coming to MLB to watch the games. They don't want people, like, because you've heard at the beginning of every MLB game, the broadcast of this game is under the usage of the game is under express. The express written is prohibited against without the express. The written express of the league. I don't know, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. If you watched any sporting event, you know what I'm talking about here with the specific wording I used. But like, MLB takes that pretty seriously, and they want people to come to like the Nessens or the Yes Networks if you're in New York, or if you're in New England. They want you to come to these local networks to watch their shows. But the teams need to work, I don't know. That's pretty much it. The teams need to work better at distributing the content in a way that allows people to actually even see the content, because that's what they've made it harder for people to do that because of the way that they've treated the media. Like I think the Barstool show that they had, the starting 9, every other show that they have on Barstool, like they just use whatever they want, and it's, I think, for clips at least of the league. But like, MLB had to actually, I think that was the first internet show that was only on the internet that had the rights to MLB. Why are your AirPods on a leash? I've got my AirPods right here, actually. And the reason they're on the leash today is because the microphone on these headphones is actually pretty good, and the room is kind of echoey. And I don't even know if it's going to come out with the echo. How does the audio sound, actually? That maybe I have one person in here. I don't even know where does it say? Does it say how many people? I don't know where it would say. One, yeah, cool. So there we go. We got one person. That's good. So how does the audio sound, if you don't mind me asking? One, AKN Anadia 105. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce. I'm not good at reading sometimes. But, shoot. Back to the point I was trying to make was just about the distribution of content. MLB needs to make it easier for people to make meme accounts. Like, when I heard Gary Vee talking about that, I almost got a little bit nervous, basically, because I was like, well, what happens if I get in trouble for posting baseball cards? Like, is that something that I'll get in trouble for? Like, oh, sorry, no, I remember Barstool. Barstool, their show called Starting 9 was the first internet show that had the rights to use MLB content on the internet. Like, anybody else that was using the videos or clips, they weren't using them. They weren't technically allowed to use them. And in most cases, MLB was striking videos and taking down content that had MLB highlights in it, which, if you look at, like I've said in the past, if you look at Instagram or you look at any of these like major NBA accounts, like, they all use the content, and the NBA is, maybe I don't think they've come out and say they're okay with it, but like, their actions have shown that they're okay with them just using the content and helping their platform grow to a point where, I mean, like House of Highlights became the top. It was the first North American media company to pass ESPN and SportsCenter on Instagram. And that was basically built on the back of, it wasn't built on the back of the MLB, I'll tell you that. basically because the MLB wouldn't let it. Like they wouldn't let you post stuff like that because they would take it down. And the MLB. So back to like with cards specifically, I think it would help. Like one thing that I've noticed. What's up? Cat223, how's it going? I'm just talking. It's my first live stream, so welcome. You are one of the chatters of the first live stream. I was just talking about the MLB. Now we're getting into sports cards a little bit. Like if you look at the top players in the league, like over this last season, you could get a Chris Bryant PSA 10 rookie for like $30, which is like he could be. And then same with like Alex Bregman is another player where you could get his card and these for like $20 to $30 a PSA 10. And that's just like if you're an MLB collector. Like buying vintage is probably a better idea, or if you're an MLB collector, you're probably collecting like Mike Trout, and then after that you're probably collecting vintage, and then after that you're probably collecting like newer cards. But if you look at like Mookie, like I said, Mookie Betts is going to be the next $300 million contract guy, and I think his cards are undervalued based off of the fact that I think he's going to go to LA. If he signs that huge contract in LA, he's going to be in that market, which, like, granted, the Boston market and the LA market are similar in the fact that they're both two of the largest markets in the country. But, like, let's see. Yeah, Mookie Betts is 60, but you can get his PSA 10 rookie card for like $60. And I mean, same with like Arenado is around that $60 to $80 range, and he's like probably the best third baseman in the league. Matt Chapman is still kind of early in his career, but he's he's won some Gold Gloves. He's been in the playoffs. Like his cards are still pretty cheap. Bellinger, someone asked me about Bellinger the other day on Instagram, and they were asking about if I thought, like he was saying, is Bellinger like the next Trout in terms of the player with the best pricing of cards? And because then the person got into the point that I was just making about some of the other superstars in the league not having the price be there based off of how good they were. And that's where I think I've said this in the past, and I've said like I just think that the market for baseball cards, for modern day baseball cards, isn't exactly as hot for not stars, but like not like the top player. Let me. What's the point I'm trying to make? Players from like 2018 and 2019. So you look at like Acuna, or you look at this year, all the rookies this year are pretty hot, and like their cards are almost the same prices as these top players. Like you look at, like I mentioned, Bryant, Betts, Bellinger is kind of up in that higher range a little bit. But like the thing with Bellinger's cards is he has like there's on the update, top 2017 Topps update, that's where you can find the Bellinger cards. He has 4 different cards on the checklist, and sure, there's one card that I would consider the one of him batting is the one that I would consider his like true rookie. But like then there are like inserts, and then there's variations. So there's like tons. You can find so many different ones, and it's confusing. And I think there needs to be a way that MLB needs to figure out a way to make it easier for people to consume their content. And then Topps needs to figure out a way to make it easier to distinguish which card is the rookie card. Because like another one is like Shohei Ohtani is in, I think he was in Series 2 last year, but then he's also in Topps Update. So it's like, which one do you take and which one do you make more popular, I guess would maybe be the term. But I think MLB is in a spot where they need to figure out and they need to make a change and make these players more popular, and then with cards I would translate usually into cards, but like, it's just tough sometimes where MLB, they think that they were doing it the right way, and maybe you have MLB execs that have been around for a while and they just don't even know the difference between, they don't understand that them being the third most followed sport behind football and basketball is a bad thing. And someone coming in and telling them something different, they're just like, well, we're the most popular sport. Like we've been making revenue and all this stuff. And like they look at it and they say they don't want to take an L for long-term success. So short-term L, long-term success. Just take a step back to take two steps. Take a step back to take two steps forward. If they really, I think they can do it. And I mean, it's like not even. Sports is interesting because it's a business, and there aren't like investors per se. And there's creative ways that teams can make money, like with partnerships. Like you see, if you go to Fenway Park or you go to any sporting event, the whole place is just littered with logos, and everything is sponsored, and every strike is sponsored. Like the replay of this play the replay is sponsored by Sullivan Tire, and the Kiss Cam, and the Dance Cam, and like everything is sponsored, and that's how they're making a lot of the money, which it's also because of TV revenue sometimes, I think. But I think they need to figure that. That's also, I think the thing is, if they're making all this money from partnerships and sponsors, like that's not what people care about. Like people don't care that the strikeout replay was sponsored by whatever random company. Like also the strikeout cam being sponsored by some random company. No, I don't think I'd be interested. Sure, you're getting the impressions, but like, what does that even matter if it's not? That's why you see like a lot of companies maybe doing some different types of partnerships, like partnerships where you get like the free hot dogs or whatever, like where and this is basketball, but like sometimes basketball teams. Like Isaiah Thomas just got into a little bit of the thing with that fan because he hit that free throw and someone like yelled at him, and which is like F you basically, and he like went into the stands and was like, hey dude, don't do that. Like there's kids around, like you're sitting in the second row, like everybody can hear you, like don't scream at me like that. And the guy was like, oh, I just wanted a free chili dog because like apparently he must have hit a free throw and that went if the other team didn't score 100 points or maybe something like that. I don't know exactly. I forget the exact context of what happened, but like that's what happened. Like you see partnerships like that, and I think that's a decent one where you get something for something, and it's not just this replay is sponsored by Sullivan Tire. It's like, who cares? Like it doesn't matter. And that's where I think the MLB has focused a lot of their revenue over the past few years. And it's like the players, there's no salary cap, so it's like, why not just pay the players? And especially with the Red Sox, like, why not just pay Mookie Betts? Like, you look at what the Warriors did with where they signed all their players, and I think they had the perfect storm. And I think the Celtics are actually lining up to be in a similar situation with a lot of these drafted players, and then they have like 2 or 3 people that they have signed. The Warriors said, we'll pay the bird rights and we'll pay the extra money, because the way it works in the NBA is that if you go over the salary cap, it goes into luxury tax, and then you just pay 1.5, whatever. You have to pay the league 1.5 times whatever you're over. So like if the Warriors were over $10 million, they'd have to then pay the NBA $15 million on top of the 10 that they're already paying that's over the salary cap. So like what the Warriors did essentially was they said, we're going to pay the luxury tax. We're going to pay these players because we know that if we win a championship, we can generate, and I'm going to make up some numbers here and I don't know what the exact numbers, we can generate $100 million from winning a championship. And that's $100 million more than what we would have got if we didn't win a championship. So we'll pay 20, 30 million. It was probably around 20. I'd have to look, and like I said, I'm making up these numbers. So they're willing to pay the $20 million extra for the players, which then would equate to like 35 that they have to pay the NBA. So they're paying, let's see, like that would be 50. So they're paying 55. What's up? How you doing? Turn Bob Ert. What's up? How's it going? This is my first live stream. We're just talking cards, talking baseball, basketball. I'm actually talking about the Warriors right now and why I think the Warriors did something smart with the way that they structured their team, and how I forget how I got to the point, but basically the point is that the Warriors said that we'll pay a total of $55 million to get $100 million if they know that they can get the revenue from the championship tickets and the championship merchandise and all that stuff. The Bucks, yeah, I mean, with Giannis, I don't like. One thing I was saying with the Celtics, like they have. You look like a fleshlight. That's not. Okay. But so the Warriors basically, no, the Celtics I think have a shot at to do what the Warriors did, and they have a shot to do what the Warriors did essentially because they signed Kemba. Sure, they signed him to the max deal, which isn't great. But then we got Turnbobber to donate $10. Wow, that's crazy. That's pretty sick. And Soft Jeppy1, hello, how's it going? That's crazy that he donated $10 there. This is my first live stream, and I wanted to thank everybody for coming. This is cool. Let's see. We got 3 people in here. That's pretty sick. So if you're not following me on Instagram, it's Heroes for Sale. Take out the 5, and on TikTok too. So if you guys are all new in here, that's where you can find me in other places. But sorry, so back to the Celtics. So basically what I think the Celtics can do is they just signed Kemba. They have Hayward, who is under contract for I think this year and then maybe another year, I think. I forget how many years he has left. But obviously, I mean, I think with the Hayward thing, I think it's tough to say like I wouldn't say the contract was a bust because of obviously that devastating injury. You can't really predict that he's going to have the crazy injury like that. And Soft Jeppo, I love sports cards. That's awesome. Me too. That's good. That's what we're here. We're chatting about. So you can't really predict that Hayward injury to happen. And then the whole Kyrie thing, I mean, you go back and you say, would you have made that trade again? I think with the Kyrie, I don't know, maybe. But so I think the Celtics, and then they have Tatum. They have Tatum and Brown, who are going to be the future. Like they just signed Brown. Tatum will probably get that next max contract. Horford just left, and then they have a bunch of rookies and young guys now that hopefully will fill into some spots coming up. And yeah, so the NBA basically, I think they're in a much better spot. I mean, you look at just overall numbers of what they're pulling. They're the most followed. Like you look at like the NBA and they're the most followed sport, and they're also, all their players are the most followed players. Like you look at and I'm going to use Zion as an example here because he has a lot of hype right now. If you're looking for any Zion cards, you can buy them for around like $40, which I think is like a pretty decent price. I actually bought 2 last night, and I was saying that I wasn't going to buy them, and then I did. I bought 2 last night. I actually advise people not to buy them. So I have made sure that I said I bought them because like I don't want it to come out that I said not to buy them and then I did buy them. I did, so I bought 2, but my plan is to flip them once Zion comes back essentially. And I'm hoping that if the cards jump up to like $80, we'll see where that goes. If they jump up to 80, I think I'll probably sell 1 and then keep 1 because basically I would have doubled my investment there. But if they jump up to 60, I might sell both and then make like $20 to $30 on like what I spent. We'll see. I haven't fully decided because I've been seeing the reports about Zion coming back. But like, so Zion, for example, he had like 2 million followers on Instagram coming out of high school. And then he got to Duke and he's up to 4. And I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. It's just insane how. And then like LeBron has like, I think he has like 40 million, I'm pretty sure. But like, and that's why I think you're seeing the prices of some of the sports cards, like prices of sports cards in the NBA are significantly. Yeah, I think they're significantly higher. Like you look at Luka, I guess so let's take the 2 players that I think have the most hype in the league. Maybe not the most hype in baseball, but like Acuna in 2018. So the cards from 2018. So Acuna, and then you have Luka. So like Acuna's cards went from let's see, where do they go from? They went from like $60 at the beginning of the season, and then by the end of the season, they're up around 120. And Soto was also like that, but Soto's went from 30 to 75 from the All-Star break to when he was in the World Series. But then you look at like Luka's, like over the summer, Luka's cards were like $65, and then they jumped up to 250 before his injury, and then he got hurt, so now they went back down. But like you look at those two, and you say like those are probably two of the most hyped players in each of their respective leagues. But like I just think you're not seeing that with baseball as much. Like let's see who's like. Mike Trout's cards have sat around 1,800 probably over the summer. Maybe you could have got it for around 800, 900 at like a show or at the National. But they're still now, they're like around, let's see, how many, like what are they around? It's still like 1,000, 1,200, 1,100, kind of depending on how patient you are. But like LeBron's cards over the summer went from 1,300 to 2,500, and you're just not seeing the jump in baseball the same way that you're seeing in basketball. And I think it will be interesting to see if Mookie Betts gets traded to Los Angeles, if the same thing happens with the pricing of his cards, or like with Anthony Davis. Because like this interesting thing that happened with Anthony Davis was like everybody knew Anthony Davis was going to be traded to LA. I feel like it was a well-known fact that he wanted to go there, and Rich Paul was going to figure out a way, who was his agent, to get him there. And then he went there, and the prices of his cards like went from like 150 to like 300. So it'll be interesting to see if Betts's cards do something similar, because it almost seems like a foregone conclusion that he's going to be traded at some point. He's going to be probably traded to LA or, I mean, wherever he ends up getting traded. I think he is going to get traded because there's just no way that I think they will be able to keep him on the team, especially just the way that they basically just dragged him through arbitration, and that's kind of unfortunate. And I think that's pretty much it. I mean, wow, I guess I got like 37 minutes, wow, on this live stream. So first live stream, I hopefully it saves, and if it saves, it'll probably be a podcast, and I think it'll be episode 32, which will be coming out later on this week. So anybody who's maybe re-listening to this, or you're watching it on the replay, thank you everybody who was in the chat, except for Power Cool. Not cool, bro. You know who you are. But so hopefully, if it saves, I guess this will be a podcast. So it'll be episode 32. I think episode 32, whatever. I'll figure it out. But so Heroes for Sale on Instagram, Heroes for Sale on TikTok. Everybody have a great day. That'll be it. Let's see. How do you end here? End.